All right, friends and neighbors, welcome back. A little bit early tonight because of the national championship. Wanted to make sure that I got this done early enough for those of you that are going to be watching that. Welcome back. I'm Ryan from RGR. This is my channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit the sub, the notification bell, leave your comment in the chat, or if you're watching this on replay, in the comment section below. Leave a thumbs up if you like it. Tonight is all about Q&A, so we're going to go through user questions. I put Frank Clark on the thumbnail because Frank had a heck of a day, and I think he really emphasizes what they needed to do. He led from the front, and I feel like he deserved to be on the front caption of it. So that's where we started. Aaron Morrow doesn't look like he's in here yet. I know it's a weird time, and honestly, I completely forgot about the championship game until this afternoon, so I had to move it up, tried to let everybody know, but Aaron might not make it, but Jerry's in here, and how are you, Jerry? I appreciate you doing what you're doing, too. Like Jerry has said, put question marks before your question. That'll help me find them in the chat. And that way we can circle through them. And I always fall behind because I start answering one thing and I get a little too in-depth. So don't take it personal. Keep trying, and I will get here. So the notification has gone out. Folks are starting to join, so I think we're set to go. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Oh, Stevie Keys, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And now we'll get your question. There's a couple that are up ahead. I just want to make sure I get those. If you guys want to support the channel, super chats are here. Super stickers are here. Feel free. If you do make a donation like Stevie just did, make sure you ask a question, though, so that I make sure I get you something for it. And when Aaron does get here, if he makes it, he'll definitely point them out in case I miss anything. But we'll get started right at the top. Let's see. Brian Colvin, what do you need to do to stop the run next week? And who on the defensive side do you think will be key? It's going to be what they didn't have last time against the Titans, and that's Mike Pennell and playing Reggie Ragland in the base on first and possibly second down. For those of you that didn't see my tweet earlier, Reggie Ragland was the highest graded defender yesterday. That's saying something, and he was in coverage a few times. I'm sorry. I'm a little congested. I'm going to try not to cough. But for all of you beer drinkers, happy IPA from Left Hand for you tonight. I'm going to try to do that to keep my throat from coughing too much. So Reggie had a good game. He's going to be key against Derrick Henry. He and Pennell helping Noddy. Saunders is going to be in there too. I think that you're going to have Chris Jones. I can't say for certain, but I do think so. So what that tells me is that we're just going to have to play it by ear, and those guys are going to play key roles. There's going to be a good rotation, and that's all you can really ask for. I don't feel like, as long as they can limit the huge plays from Derrick Henry, if he runs for 100 yards, 150 yards, I think they're okay because their offense is cooking so much right now that they're going to be able to put up points and stay ahead of it, as long as it's not the 65 and 80-yard touchdowns from Henry, because that lets them score so quickly. That keeps them on pace with the Chiefs. If it takes them twice as long to score, it comes down to the number of possessions, and Chiefs are going to defer if they have a chance. And if the Titans don't, then the Chiefs defense has to get some stops, and that's going to come down to stopping the run because that's how they're going to keep the chains rolling. So those guys are what I see off the top, Brian. Good question. Big Chief Sean, I'm glad you're here, buddy. Folks, if you don't know Sean yet, check out his channel as well. He's a man of the people, and he's got your tailgate action. I love watching that stuff because I don't get to Arrowhead that often. So, Sean, how are you, bud? Your question is, how many years does this game take from you? I tell you what, I don't know about years, but I definitely got a few more gray in the chin. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I was throwing stuff. I freely admit, my wife will tell you I was not happy. And it's not just because of a normal fan reaction. It was really the point that wasted opportunity. That's what I was so upset about, because to have it set up like this, where somebody knocks out the top seed for you and makes you have home field from that point forward, you got to take advantage of that. And it just felt like there were just too many things, either overhype or not focused enough. And I have a tendency to think overhype because the way that they settled down, it didn't seem like any of the team's leaders had to really motivate guys. It was more about keeping them calm, keeping them focused on doing the next thing. So I take a lot away from that, meaning that they felt that they were in a good position. So that worked out pretty well. Great question, Sean. Let's see who's next. Derek Brown. Do you think if we stop them on 2 drives, they will have to throw? Not necessarily. It might lean them that way instinctually, but I think they're pretty confident in what they do. And there have been teams that have slowed Henry down, but eventually he breaks them anyway. So I do feel that you're just going to get a constant, continual chances at getting Derrick Henry going. If it doesn't work for him, it doesn't work for him. You know, they'll go to Tannehill when they need to, but they're going to always give you a little bit of Derrick Henry to see if they can get you, especially, you know, in the second half when you might be tired or they think you are. They're going to start trying to go back to it, even if it hasn't been that successful early on. So there's plenty there to get from. John Cook, thoughts on the DB rotation post Thornhill injury? I was a little surprised. Southern Bell, how are you? I see you too. I was a little surprised that Armani Watts didn't play more than he did. 4 snaps on defense. Again, played some big roles in some of the big plays on special teams, but I expected Armani to play on defense more, and I was a little surprised that he didn't. Clearly, Spags is more comfortable with Sorensen deep than I am, but Sorensen played well. And I said it on the podcast today with Matt Derrick. You guys can listen to that probably in about an hour on the podcast feed. And I do want more continual feedback from everybody here, or even better in the comments after this repost. Do you want all the Chiefs content on one channel? I'm thinking about making the other pod channel just about beer, and we'll just separate it. That seems to be what most people want, but I want to know from you guys, either in here or in the comments. That said, it's one of those deals that there's always something, and Matt will come out, podcast here in about 45 minutes will be available on iTunes and Google Podcasts and all that stuff. You can find it here probably tomorrow, but eventually I'm gonna slow down posting the podcast because we want to make sure that we get podcast traffic. The only way that we get credit for podcast listens is if they're on one of the podcast feeds like Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts or Spotify and those kind of things. So that said, the rotation, I think, getting back to John's question, sorry to drift off there. I think the rotation was good. I think they're very confident in Sorensen. He did drift towards the front, towards the box more, and I think that's where he really needs to be. 55 snaps for Kendall Fuller at free safety, and I'm pretty happy with it. He was one of the middle grades, higher end of the middle grades, actually, as I pull it up and look at it again. What is he, number 6? Yeah, he's a 6th graded guy yesterday. Ragland's top, then Colin Saunders. Dorian O'Daniel graded out very well. He did his job. It was a limited job that Spags found for him, but he did his job. Xavier, Bashad Breeland, and Kendall Fuller were your top rated, according to PFF, their grades, in how they played. And I think Kendall Fuller's really settling into that role. And I like it. And I would not be surprised, and I won't be upset at all, if he comes back and they extend him or maybe let the deal fail or complete and start another one for him to play safety. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. And honestly, it makes me feel better that eventually his brother will get out of Chicago and you could have the Fuller brothers playing together, one at corner and one at safety. I love that combination. So that said, I kind of expect the same thing. If anything, you could see more snaps out of Watts. Another week to prepare as though he's the starter. You can put him at the back and let those guys come up, especially if you do get down, because you got to have Dan up front. I don't expect very much from Dan Sorensen at the free safety or the deep spots against the Titans because you got to have him up at the box. Tyrann can help in the run game a little bit, but he's still undersized. So really, you want to have your biggest safety up there against Derrick Henry because you can always play action. Play action is going to be big for those Titans, but you got to be able to stop the run in order to defend that. So in that case, I could see it where Sorensen's up front, Tyrann Mathieu, Fuller are taking some slots, some nickels, some robbers. They're just moving it around, and that's great. But you need somebody at the back. And so I could see Watt playing more next week. I hope so. I can't say for certain, but I do hope so. Good question. And now Stevie Keys. Stevie, you're the first donation tonight. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Big question. What do you think Spags will do to stop Henry, schematically in particular? Schematically, I think what you're going to do is you're going to see him use Pennell more often, but I think you're going to see him get into the gaps. This is an angle blocking scheme. They run some zone, they run some power, but it's all about angles at the end of the day. And I feel like Noddy and Pennell do the best job of rotating in the hole, of making blockers have to change what they're doing. So, hey, it is what it is. Beyond that, I do feel like what we saw from Reggie, we're going to see more of, where he can blitz, where he's on the field. He was on in some nickel packages, to tell you the truth, him and Hitch earlier in the game. So they're not as afraid to put him in a position where he's got to chase or at least man a zone against a slot receiver. And Brown's going to be all over the place. He's going to play sometimes in the slot, sometimes outside. But, if Reggie can get a jam on him in a pass situation, it allows them to leave him on the field more for the run. I think Reggie has to be out there for the run. He is their best run defending linebacker. So him, Pennell, Noddy, that rotation, that diamond in the middle right there, triangle, they have to have that. But schematically, I want to see them blitz the A-gap a little bit. It's not exactly where Henry likes to go that much. He's more of a, honestly, when he makes good runs, that big touchdown run you saw, he was going B-gap on strong side and ended up cutting it back on his big, long touchdown to the backside. That's the more important thing, is discipline, because it's so hard to bring him down. He gets second chances in which he'll either reverse the field or he'll go somewhere the play was not even designed to be, because his linemen have accomplished their first block and they're able to turn it. So you got to play disciplined on the backside as well. I think that's really going to be key. So schematically, I want to see them attack the gaps. The A's will attack Tannehill a little bit more. It'll disrupt timing, and that's important. Penetration will help that, but you also have to stay disciplined and make sure that you mind your gap. That's utterly important. Great question, Stevie. Jack Hilliard, props for the O-line. Yes. The best graded O-lineman yesterday was Steve Wisniewski. So, sorry, Steve. I always call him Steve. Been waiting for that. Now, I don't know what's going on with Andrew Wiley. I'm a little concerned about it, to tell you the truth. I like Wisniewski starting. You guys know that. I've been saying it for going on a couple months now. I would still leave it that way unless you want to slide him in a center, but I think that's a lot of disruption at this point. So if they're not going to start Wiley, I do want him to be the primary backup inside, because he's nasty and he's powerful. He's not as athletic, but he's there and he can help. And I don't want them having to go. I'd rather them go to Wiley than Cam Irving, is what I'm saying. If you need to go to Cam on the outside, a tackle if something happens, okay. But Fisher played well yesterday. Schwartz played great yesterday. The three of them, it's no coincidence that the three most experienced linemen in Wisniewski, Fisher, Schwartz were the best graded yesterday. It's playoff football. And even though everybody else in the playoffs is running the snot out of the ball and the Chiefs aren't, it's still about making your blocks in the run game and protecting Pat. Pat moved really well yesterday. So for me, I think the turning point is, can you accomplish your run gaps controls? Can you make your blocks, as Chris Clark calls me for some reason in the middle of my show? Chris is Chris. He's busy. It's about that. It's those little things. And I think Wiz is just, again, better at angles than Wiley is right now. So I feel like that's okay, but I do want Wiley as the backups. That's what I'm looking for. So, Jack, great question. And, yeah, they need props. Sean Crawford, did you hear about Jimmy Johnson going to the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was a nice moment, especially because I just talked to Terry Bradshaw last week, and Terry was hooping and hollering there when it happened. I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Sports fan, what are the chances Chris Jones is back next week? I think it's 70-30 that he's back. Evidently, he couldn't generate much power in the pregame warm-up, so that's a concern. But a week more rest, I don't expect him to practice a lot, and I'm not concerned if he doesn't practice. If he doesn't practice, it's not a big deal, you guys. Just roll with that. So I'm feeling like it's more than 50-50, but it's not 100 by a long means. Ryan Schultz, do you expect to see a 5-man D-line or possibly a bit of a 46, some hybrid with Pennell, Saunders, Noddy? I like your concept. I do like a 46, even against an off-tackle, B-gap kind of rusher like Derrick Henry. If you can jam those guards, it really affects what he can do. It makes him hesitate, and then you can gang tackle him. So, yeah, I love the 46 as a concept. The problem is when you're stuck in that and you have edges, unless you're going to go really light on your edge guys and shuffle in Harris or put Ragland there, that makes you a little susceptible on the edge. So it is something to be concerned about. If you are going to go 46, even for a bit, you have to be very, very quick with your substitutions. That's going to be key because that's how they'll get you. If you get caught in a 46 and they come out in 11 or 4 wide, you're in trouble. So that's a very good point, but you got to be very specific about that. Keith Ford, how do we stop Henry and what's the key to winning? You stop Henry by being disciplined in the gaps and attacking him. He will wear you down. He's going to get 100 yards. I have no problem with that. If he does, that doesn't mean that they win, so I'm good. But you got to be disciplined, and you got to keep him from breaking those super long ones. You do that, and you're going to win this game. Testicular tactics. I didn't see any leadership in Lamar. I don't see him talk to his guys when they're losing. He had a pouty face half the time. He wasn't cool under pressure. Yes, Mahomes is a true leader. It's not much of a question, Testicular, but I'm with you. I think that shows a maturity difference, and he'll probably still win the MVP, but that's not really an MVP performance. So it is what it is. Let's see. Firefighter Farmer, how are you, bud? Do you think Robinson will get less playing time due to all his drops? I don't. I don't think they're going to stick Pringle in there, although I kind of wish they would. He might see a small drop, but I don't think it's going to be big. We all know Hardman's really coming on as that third, so I think that's going to stay steady. So what can I tell you? Let's see. Jake Allig. What's up, bud? Do you think Chris Jones is injured again will affect him getting a deal for next year? I don't think so, unless he's milking something for some reason, which I can't see him doing. He's a pretty intense guy, and I think he wants to win. I think he wants a championship. They've been pretty happy with him. What started is I felt like in training camp they were going to franchise tag him. It's kind of flipped, and from everything I hear, they really want to sign him back. So unless there's something really wrong, I don't think it's going to have an effect. Trenton Prettyman. After the game, would you give Pringle Hardman more reps, or would you keep giving Robinson as much? I'd put Pringle in and get him more, but that's just me. Sorry, my nose is really itchy tonight, you guys. It's just one of those deals. Billy Carr, how are you? What's up with Mathieu letting up the sack that he could have had on Watson? I don't think he was going to have it. He was going to get it thrown out. He was going to be too late, and he just wasn't going to hit him, I don't think. He even said, hey, the game was put away. It wasn't close. You know, they are close friends. So I still would have hit him, but, that's me. Southern Bell, should O'Brien be fired? Man, I don't know. That's tough. Honestly, he did more than I expected him to this year in getting them to the divisional round. I didn't have a whole lot of faith. I honestly thought the Bills were going to win, so I can't say that I think that. I think he's got at least another year. Okay, low lip. Chiefs should pass the ball at all times. Do you agree? Not even close, bud. And I know you did it on purpose because you know what my answer was going to be. So, yeah. No, I like a 60-40 split. When you total up all the games last week, the stat that I heard, 57% rush this last weekend in all those divisional games. So it's definitely swung back. I told you guys 2 years ago that this pass happy thing, it's going to have its flashback. It's going to come back. And it is. The Chiefs aren't. They're staying with what they do, and that's okay. It's going to be whatever it is. A championship cures all evils, and I'm not going to hold it against them if they don't run, but they win the Super Bowl. So good for them. Tactics again. Should Chris Jones be out there against the Titans if the goal is to stop Derrick Henry? Yes, some, because of play action. No, he is not the best run defender. Pennell is better than him against the run. So is Noddy. Colin Saunders and Chris Jones are pretty close. But you never know when it's going to be play action, and you got to get that pass rush. Chris is easily the best. He's almost, I don't know, he's a hair below Frank Clark in my opinion, but they're the best two pass rushers on here, so no. He should be out there. Seth Lashbrook, does McCoy even get to this school? Even go to this school? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means. I think you're meaning LaShawn and he's not playing. I don't have any information about that. It makes no sense to me, but hey. Damien looks this year like Damien looked last year in the playoffs, which was great. So if Damien Williams is here for his playoff shine, I'm all for it. How are the Chiefs planning to attack the Titans' stout defense? You know, they are pretty good, but Tyreek Hill kind of laid it all out last night, and he was pretty giddy, saying, I get to go against a man defense. I love that because I will break free. That's the gist. He didn't say those words, but that's what he's trying to say. Man defense allows opportunities for speedy guys. So Hardman, him, even Sammy, they're going to get some opportunities. I think that, honestly, the Titans will play a little bit more zone than they did last time because Tyreek even he could have a monster day. Tyreek could have a day like Kelce had this last week. I'll put it that way. So beyond that, I think they're going to look to get them over aggressive and come back on them, get more screens going. That would be my guess as to what they're going to do. I'll probably have more for you later in the week when I have a little bit clearer picture. But yeah, that's where I'm seeing it right now. Okay. Oh, wow. We got more donations coming in. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I'm going so slow. There's a lot here, and I'm scrolling. Okay. Nate Matthews. Will you be coming for the championship? We would love to have you stop by the 515 tailgate. I appreciate that. I don't know that I will, just because of previous commitments that I have. I don't know. I'll show up for the parade is probably what it'll have to come down to. My kids are competitive in their sport, and I have something just before the championship game. So, there's a lot going on there. Sorry, though. Whenever I am there next, though, I will come by 515 tailgate, though, and I think all the rest of you watchers should do that, too. Curtis Douglas, everyone had to love Fisher's celebration on the Bell TD. Also nice of Budweiser to do something to the fan whose beer he did that with. It would be nice. I'll provide a beer if they show up. How's that? Jerry Cole, do you think that we muffled all the points in the pass drops because it was freezing cold? I don't. In the snow game, in the Colts game last year, the cold didn't seem to affect anyone. I don't know what DeMarcus' problem was yesterday, but something was just not right with him, and I don't think it was the cold. Hog Farmer, can Ryan say Sorensen is awesome? I think I just did, and I think that's about as close as you're going to get, Hog. So thanks, bud. Anthony Boyd, it was crazy in the first quarter. Do you think that we need to move more serious players into the locker room? Getting hurt also did you see that Andy finally get the killer instinct? I felt like Andy did stay more true to keeping the hammer down. I don't have a problem with the locker room. I think players are pretty serious. If you saw what Frank Clark said after the game, he's pretty serious. And I feel like he and Mahomes and Tyrann Mathieu are doing a good job of keeping everybody focused. King X Soul. King Crossing Soul, I guess is what that means. Thoughts on Rashad's performance? I think he has a bright future ahead of him. Rashad Fenton, I think you mean. Yeah, I like his tenacity. I like the way that he plays. He's still susceptible to the deep ball because he just doesn't have that kind of long speed. But especially if he can get better at zone, I love the way he plays, man. He's very aggressive and he's very physical, and I think that helps him a lot. So I do like what I saw from him, and I think he's got a bigger role to play going forward. Just have to be, a little bit better about knowing when to drop out, knowing when to give that thing so you don't get beat over the top. Natalie Ingolstad, welcome. Why don't they use Sammy better? Great hands, run after the catch. Seldom gets credit for what he does. You're right. He is a little underrated. The problem is that Sammy, he doesn't always get the separation he should. And when he does, I'm not sure that it's always in a spot that at the time Mahomes can come back to. I know he trusts him. I do see that on the field. I think it's just a thing on what's going on with the routes that he's running. And that may be his role in the offense as well. So, Natalie, you got a good point, but I think we'll just have to roll with it and see what he gets. I'd love for him to take a pay cut and come back, though. So, Jamie Franklin, can you do film on Dorian O'Daniel? I think that's something I'm going to have to do in the offseason. I don't expect him to play much this week because he had a specific role in shadowing, in spying on Watson. You don't have to do that with Tannehill. So I don't think he's going to play a whole lot now. And quite frankly, I got to do Frank and I got to do the offensive plays. I got to do some of the bigger plays this week. So I'm going to do that in the film room. If I could throw one in on Dorian, I will. but definitely in the offseason I will, because I think Spags finally found something that he can do with him that he likes, but it is pretty situational. I still have faith in Dorian Daniel. I think he'll get better, and I think they'll find a way to use him in the future. Let's see. Who's next? Nathan Altick. Has O'Daniel finally broken in the rotation of linebackers, or is he just a spy? He was just a spy. I don't expect him to play any more than he usually does. I would like him to. Honestly, I'd like to see him out there in the real nickel, the small nickel with Neiman. I'd like to see him in there, because then you can have Sorensen be a true strong safety and have Fuller and Mathieu in the back. I like that lineup. If you're going to go, I guess technically that's dime, but I'd like to see him as a nickel backer next to Ben Neiman. Evening, Adam. How are you? What's the next record set for this team? Lowest point total in the playoffs. I don't know. Lowest point given up in the championship game. Let's see if they can give up 7. Kyle K, thanks for your donation, bud. Appreciate it. Since the Broncos are trying to get Chris Jones, would you rather pay him Frank Clark money or trade him away? Also, has Reggie earned a contract? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. They can say all they want, and I'll say in reverse too. Chiefs should go sign Chris Harris. Chris Harris, come back to Kansas. Welcome. Anybody can play that game. I don't think Chris wants to go to the Broncos. I don't think he sees that defense as the future as much. I think he wants to play with Frank. I think they franchise tag him, and if somebody gives him a big offer, maybe it's worth a trade. It will also have something to do with how he reacts to being franchise tagged. But from what I hear, they want to give him money. I just don't know if they can afford to give him Frank money. Somebody came out today, I think it was Rappaport, saying that they confirmed they want to make Mahomes the highest paid quarterback ever. And after Russ is going to come up before him, they also said, by the way, that they're not going to do it until after the CBA, which is March. So I think Russ is going to get 40 a year, man, which means you're talking more than 42 probably for Mahomes a year. And they want a long-term contract. We're talking $200 million. We're talking $250 million. That's huge. And the Chris contract and Frank, I mean, that's a lot. I don't know if they can afford to do that. It'll be real interesting to see what they do, Kyle, but it's a great question, man. Daniel Summers, can we go all the way? Yes, this team can win the Super Bowl without doubt. Evan I, how many yards do the Chiefs need to hold Derrick Henry to in order to win this game? If they can keep him under 150, it's going to make it pretty cut and dry given the way the offense is playing. If he goes over 200 again, it's going to make it tough. But the key, again, is, like I said, if he scores quickly, it keeps them on pace where they can try to get stops. It's when they just grind out clock and take time away from Mahomes that it hurts. Morbian 13, who will be playing the Super Bowl this year, in your opinion? I think it's Chiefs, Packers. Versace, thoughts on the safety position performance without Juan? I think they handled it pretty well. I thought Fuller played well. I thought Sorensen played great. And Mathieu had a couple of I don't like the drops on the interceptions, but Matthew's Matthew, so I'm not going to hold it against him. He does too much else to help this team that I'm not going to complain. Sorry, guys. All right, Keith Ford, you can keep the 2 podcasts. Just continue to mention what you were drinking. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, bud. Let's see. Next question. Scrolling down here. The Chariot HD. What's the story on Claiborne? Any word? I don't have any word. They didn't list an injury this week. They said it was something personal, so I have no idea what's going on with that. Maybe he had a kid and didn't announce it. I don't have any clue. I'll be interested to see what happens, because I know that in that room he's been looked to for guidance for some of the younger corners, and I don't like him being out. I wish they had him as a resource. Flam Yo Diddle. Do you think that the Titans game plan gets thrown out the window if they get down 2 scores, much like the Ravens? I think they're much more controlled. And quite frankly, I think Mike Vrabel has more control over his team in terms of them seeing him as the leader and emulating how he reacts than John Harbaugh does. Not that there's anything wrong with John Harbaugh, but John Harbaugh's not the offensive coordinator. He's not calling the plays into the quarterback. The quarterback's emotional. I was pretty shocked about just how emotional Lamar got. I saw other guys getting out of control. You have Marcus Peters on the other side, which, by the way, Marcus Peters made a tackle on Derrick Henry without contacting his body, basically. So I was pretty shocked at that. Marcus didn't want to hit him, so I thought that was cool. But so, I feel like Vrabel sets the tone more. Vrabel's harder edged. And I think that kind of rolls over. So I don't think that they get away, or they certainly don't panic if they get down 2 scores. I think they always feel like on any given run, Henry could break it. So they have that too. Henry's their Mahomes, basically. They feel at any time he could really explode, and that's legitimate. Aaron made it. Rock on, Aaron. Glad you're here. Sorry I had to start early. What's your favorite play of the game? My favorite play of the game was that 16 circle merry-go-round thing that Frank Clark did to get that sack. I thought that was great. Stayed with it. Frank looked, a little tired at times, but that particular play he put out over and over and over. It was great. Okay, who's there? Brandon Octavio. Thanks for your donation, pal. What do you think our defense can stop or slow Henry? I do think they can slow him. Nobody can stop him. So, if you're talking keeping him under 50, I don't think that's possible, to tell you the truth. That line blocks the snot out of everybody. So I have no problem saying that they are one of the best, if not the best, run blocking line in this league. That alone, not to mention the fact that he's a monster of a man running the ball at you, you're not going to stop him. I see no way that he's stopped. But if you can contain him, I'd be crazy happy if they were under 100 yards on him. But if you can keep him under 100 and a touchdown, I think you're doing just fine, and that gives you plenty of room to win. Thanks for your donation and for the question. I appreciate it. Nathan Roth, how many drop interceptions do you think Mathieu has had this season? By my count, it's 7. It's kind of a lot, but hey, it happens. Adam Daughtry, can we catch Henry if he ends up going inside with a corner blitz? Maybe with Breeland. You send Travaris in there, he's going to get hammered. Maybe with Fenton too, though. Those 2 guys, if you blitz them off the corner, I think you might be able to bring him down. It's about form tackling Derrick Henry. You have to attack his legs and you have to wrap him up. It's Pop Warner football. You can't try to hit him and think that anything's going to happen. You have to stop his legs from moving. That's just the way that it works. Let's see. MD Van, what's up with Chris Jones? It's that calf. They said that he actually did do it in practice. It wasn't a basketball thing. But he couldn't generate any power in warmups. That's why he didn't play. Better to rest him and not even push it. I think he'll be back. I certainly hope that he will. We're just going to have to find out, though. We should know more in a couple of days when they practice on Wednesday. Jack Hall, what do you think? What do you think we will do to fix our slow starts in recent big games? How do we attack down the field more or get Damien more touches? I think it's going to be Damien and maybe even a little bit more. I think they're going to go screen pretty good on this group because I feel like the Titans are pretty aggressive, more so than the Texans were. And so I think you're going to see a little bit more screen. I want to see a little more tight end screen over the middle, to tell you the truth. So hopefully it's a combination. It's not just the backs. But I think the backs have a pretty good matchup. Aaron Morrow, our mod, what's up, buddy? Who is the MVP on the offense, defense, and overall not named Patrick Mahomes? The offensive MVP would be Travis Kelce. The defensive MVP would be Tyrann Mathieu. And the special teams would probably be McCole Hardman. He turned that game around. Multiple players in the locker room said that his play is what jump-started them. They fed off of his energy. So that's just one game, but he's been doing it all season. So I really feel that McCole Hardman is the special teams ace. Next question. CJ Dial. Is it true that Chris Jones hurt himself playing basketball? No, from what I understand, it is not. It was in practice. Maximo, thanks for your buck. I appreciate it, man. I'm sure you have a question in here. I'll make sure to get it. Norman Schreck, would you say that Spag is the biggest test so far against playing the Titans? No, honestly, I wouldn't. They lost against the Titans last time because they didn't keep the right personnel active. Maybe that was on Spags. I don't know who made that decision, but it wasn't a schematic one. It was personnel. So I do feel like Spags has had more trouble in defending teams like Green Bay, which I do feel that they're gonna meet in the Super Bowl, and certainly you can't ever underestimate the Patriots with Edelman and whoever else is going on. N'Keal Harry is going to be good someday, but I do feel that they had to do a lot more planning for that. Big Chief Sean again. What's up, pal? Do you out-D them or outscore them? Yes and yes. I do feel it has to be both. Sorry, guys. Getting worse. Adam Higginbotham. Do you think that Pringle will start to get snaps over Robinson? I don't. I would like it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Cody Parker. How much longer do we have with Kelce at this level? When in the future can he make his replacement a priority? His replacement isn't a priority for a couple of years. I do think he gets another contract. Backup is a priority. I still don't feel like he's 100% from his offseason surgery last offseason. He just doesn't look as explosive as he did. He's still very explosive, the most explosive tight end in the league, but he's not what he was a year ago. And there are a lot of surgeries like that, ACLs, some Achilles type things that take more than a year to fully heal and really punch in and be ready to go. So I'm really interested to see if he plays, especially given that they're playing the same depth of the season. This week, they're going to play as many games as they played last year. If they play the Super Bowl, it'll be one more. That's not that bad. We're talking an extra 60 snaps over last season. But if he can make it out healthy and he can just heal and rest and train at a low intensity level to try and let that thing heal, I think he's going to be back to his normal self next season. And so replacement, I'm not worried about, just getting him a backup in case of injury. MD Van, should we bring in at least 8 in the box on Henry? I think 7's going to be sufficient, or it's just going to invite play action. And Brown is a good receiver. Brown, Hardman, Terry McLaurin, those are the 3 best rookie receivers that we've seen in a long time. They all happen to come out this year. And a lot of folks are high on DK Metcalf. You know, he runs 3 routes really, really well, and he's been playing very well lately. I still feel like Hardman, McLaurin, and A.J. Brown are better. Let's see. Argo. Are the Titans defense going to slow down Mahomes like Lamar? I don't think so. I feel like there's more playmaking, there's more mental adjustment that can go on with Mahomes in reading defenses and not being reliant on his athleticism as much. Excuse me. So I do feel like they're not going to get to him like they did Lamar. Brandon Meter, can Dirty Dan proved this season that he deserves to be back next year? Man, he has played well. The problem is he's going to be on a 3rd contract. He's going to be expensive as all get out. Someone's going to give him $7 or $8 million a year is my guess. And it can't be the Chiefs. They have too many other people to pay. Sorry. Norman Streck, do we need to gang tackle Henry? Absolutely. It's the name of the game. Nathan Roth, thinking ahead, but does Jody Fortson make the team next year? I think so. I like Jody Fortson. If you heard him on our podcast, I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think this year learning is really going to help him mature and get to where he needs. He was a tight end for a lot in college. He just made that transition to wide receiver. So, I'm sorry, no, the opposite. He was a wide receiver. He played tight end his last season. A lot going on there, but I do feel like he's on the upswing. I think he has a very good shot to make it. It's going to be about Kemp and Pringle next year. And I see Dieter and Fortson right there on the edge. So we'll see what happens in camp. Stevie Keys, will the Titans DL be able to get pressure easier or better than the Texans DL? Jarrell Casey's been playing out of his mind. So I am a little bit concerned about Reeder going up against him right on the nose. I am not comfortable with that matchup. It makes me a little nervous. I think Wiz is going to be able to handle it. Wiz is going to get bowled from Casey because that's where Wiz isn't that strong anymore at his point in his career, but he knows angles. So they're going to have to do something. It's going to be doubles. I'm just not sure if they get in a situation where they have to single him up on Reader. I always say it back and forth. I know Andy Reid goes back and forth on it too. I think it's the German pronunciation Reiter. So I'm trying to do that without saying Rider. But that's the matchup that makes me nervous. Jeremy Jones, do you think that the defense remembers Tannehill literally running all over them and putting a beat down on them early? I'm sure they remember every little detail. I'm guessing that's probably not at the forefront of their minds, but they're not forgetting anything. Chris Douglas thought we overreacted by putting Hill back in the return that punt that he muffed early in the game. Nah, you were looking to get a spark. It backfired, but you were looking to get a spark. I can see the reasoning for that. I wasn't against it. Nathan Roth, does Suggs get a lot of snaps? He played 38, which was about 50%, so that was perfect. Maximo, can Reggie Ragland be the X factor in Stoppy Henry? He is, definitely. I like where you're going with that. I think he and Pinnell are the keys. Excuse me. At a Higginbotham. After all these punts getting blocked, do you think we should move on from Dave Tobe? No, I don't think it's a Tobe problem. I think it's a player problem. I think it's about execution, not design. Good Lord, I'm behind in this chat. I'm sorry, you guys. Man, I'm going slow. Okay, I'm trying. Oh, that's why. My chat's all messed up. Okay, there we go. Trying to find the next question. I got lost. Aaron, if you have something, would you point it out to me? Looks like I lost part of the chat. So, I know there were donations, and now I'm not seeing them. So I'm going to try to change my window and see more of those. Yeah, because they are gone. My favorite, and grab everybody that made a donation and make sure that I get back to them, because now I've lost my chat completely, you guys. I'm not sure what's going on. Shoot. Okay, I'm just going to pick up where this is right now. If you made a donation, either Aaron will point it out or you point it out again. And I'll make sure to answer them. I apologize, you guys. I don't know what's going on here. Brandon Patterson, anyone else think that the game that we needed to get over this, get us over the hump? I think it could be. They certainly needed something. Morbian 13. Did anyone else hear that Arrowhead ran out of fireworks? Yeah, I heard that as well. And I think Matt Derrick's starting a fund just to supplement everything. So, oh, there's Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. You are a lifesaver. Samir Mika, your donation. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I missed it. Aaron's got me covered. Titans on fourth road game. Any chance versus the Chiefs? There's always a chance. If they hadn't rebounded so hard last week, you would say that maybe they shouldn't have won. There's always a chance they struggle doing that again. If the Chiefs let themselves get down again, they're in trouble. So yeah, there's always a chance. But the Titans play a physical brand of football. They've been on the road a lot. They've been playing heavy. They could be tired. And if the Chiefs can keep it up pace and use their explosiveness, I feel like they can run them down. So there is always a chance, but I feel pretty good about this one. Okay, Derek Brown. Is Hardman's route tree this season the reason they don't use him more? It's not necessarily the route tree. It's knowing when to do what. In my opinion, it's sight adjustments. That he's not quite up to par on where he should be adjusting his routes. And I think that's the problem. But it's not really a problem because that's not what he does. He's a rookie. He's learning. Honestly, rookies almost never have an impact in the West Coast offense. And when they do, it's very minimal. So I'm impressed with what he's done. Adam Daughtry, your donation. Thank you again. I appreciate that. Aaron, thank you for saving me here. Testicular tactics, Clemson or LSU? I'm going LSU. Adam Higginbotham, thoughts on Tobe's job security after all the block punt field goals? I don't think that's an issue. I think it's about player execution. Roger, how do you think the AFC Championship game will go from beginning to end? I think it's going to be up and down. I think those Titans are going to start pretty good. I think their third quarter is going to be pretty good, but I think the Chiefs win. Maximo 101, any thoughts on the defensive package that you would see that they're going to use against the Titans? I think they're going to play a little bit more base, and I think Reggie's going to play a little bit more in the nickel. I expect to see Pennell play quite a bit until they can get them either behind in the score or behind in the sticks so that they have to throw more. Cody Parker, do we try to continue improvements mostly through the draft next year or pursue a big-name free agent CB? Both. There's only Fenton and Travarius Ward on the roster next year. That's it at cornerback. They need several. So I do think it is both. Nathan Roth, do you see Eric Fisher's celebration? Yeah, I love that. Eric Fisher's a working man's kind of dude, so I thought that was great. Low Lip, did being down 24-0 force Andy to go balls to the walls with his play calling instead of being conservative? It did, but even when they got up, he kept calling things that were going to get them more points. So I felt like that was a good outing for Andy all the way around. Desviz MX. Sorry, I massacred that. Is Bell or Yelder the second tight end? Will Ragland play more snaps this week? Ragland will play more. Bell is still the second, and Yelder's the third. Aaron, thank you again. Dylan Kruckman, $5. Thank you for your donation. Do you feel like Suggs played this game? And yes, Dylan does donate every show. So, folks, give Dylan Kruckman a hand. How do you feel Suggs played? I thought he played well. Not great. I think he could have had a couple more plays, but quite frankly, he was doing his job. And I'm guessing that contain was part of the equation on Watson. So I do feel like he did exactly what he was supposed to do. I'm not worried about the lack of sacks in particular or big splash plays. I like the amount that he played, and I think that allows him to play a role all the way through the postseason. So I'm happy with it. Good question. Cole Killer, does anybody else think the reason we dropped the Titans game in Week 10 was because of injuries? I'm sure somebody does. I think it's because they didn't play Mike Pennell, and they got a little cocky that they were going to be up, and that's why they played Joey Ivy. Gary Holland, can the Chiefs trade Jones next year? They can if he signs his franchise tag, which I think they're still going to use unless they just have a number that works. They can tag and trade him. Chris Kesey. Oh, I'm sorry. Aaron, do you think that they should play Pringle over Robinson? I sure do. I don't know about over, but I think Pringle should be getting more reps and they should come from Robinson's share. Chris Kesey. How do we defend against Henry? Stack the box, attack the gaps, play Pennell and Ragland. If you missed it, when this goes back up, I talked a bunch about that in the beginning. Jake Alec, do you think that the hit on Tyreek should have been flagged? I don't. I thought that was a football play. He didn't lead with his head. I'm okay with it. Mo Runnels, thoughts on Eric Bieniemy getting snubbed out of the head coaching job, or do you think he got snubbed? I'll put it this way: I didn't expect Eric Bieniemy to get a job this year, a head coach job, because we haven't seen him call entire games. I know he has input, and I know there are stretches that he's called plays. We haven't seen him do it. We haven't seen the handoff like Doug got, where he's calling this game. And so I didn't think that he would get an offer. But that said, you gave a special teammate who's never called plays a head coaching job in New York. I think that should have gone to Eric Bieniemy. I don't care that the guy coached. And Joe Judge is supposed to be a great coach. From what I understand, he's a good leader. So is Eric Bieniemy. And he's called some plays. And he's a guy that can get the most out of Saquon Barkley. And he's a guy that knows how to protect a quarterback. Danny Dimes is good, but he needs help. So I think it was a mistake. I would not have gone with a special teams coordinator with 1 year of wide receiver coaching experience to lead your team when you have your two most important players as second-year guys or third-year guys, I guess, in Barkley and Daniel. Sorry, don't get me off my horse there. But I do think Eric gets a job soon. Billy Carr, do you think that Thompson thought the play was dead? It looked to me like he was unsure what to do because in college, you're not going to advance that. So I think he was a little confused. There are some that say he was just setting up his blocks. Okay, either way, I'm not too worried about it. That's what happens with rookies. That's normal. That kind of thing, if it's a mistake, it's just a rookie mistake. I'm not worried about it at all. Aaron, should the video be renamed Raise the Firework Budget? Yeah, sure. I guess we can do that. Anthony Boyd, do you think the defensive line can be more aggressive against the Titans offensive line? And how do we stop Henry in the offensive line like a monster on controlling defensive lines? The offensive line is good. They're the best run offensive line in the league, I think. And you have to attack them at their shoulders. You have to get them turned. You have to jump in the gaps. I think that's what's key. Big Mall 2020. Did you notice the Bieniemy calling more plays than usual against the Texans? No. He always calls the plays. Andy talks to him. He is always the guy calling the play from the headset into Mahomes. So none of that, like they showed it more is all it was, is the TV, the cameramen put it on TV more. But he's always the guy that actually speaks the words of the play into the headset that goes to Mahomes. Zion 01, sorry, not a question, just wanted to know that I have a design search for sports teams and would love to work on designs you have in mind. Oh, okay, rock on, Zion. Email me at the about page on this channel, and we'll talk. There's a bunch of folks that have offered to help, and I appreciate that because I'm just not that good at it. I'm a Photoshop beginner. Let's see. Do you like the Stone Cold Beer celebration? Yeah, I thought that was cool, Maximo. Roger, who will step up on defense and offense against the Titans? I think Pennell's going to have a big game. And I have a feeling that Tyreek and Hardman actually get a little bit of twin action because they're going to have to react to what Kelce did. And I think Watkins a little bit too. Oregon Chiefs fan, what's up, buddy? Am I going to rock a 49 jersey while watching the game? No, I will definitely not be wearing a 49 jersey. If anything, I'll be wearing my number 9 KU jersey. I don't own jerseys. The KU one's the only one that I do, and that's my alma mater. That's why. I don't own a Chiefs jersey. I'm not that kind of fan. I've been an analyst and a coach for so long that I just don't fan out on professionals. I'm more apt to have KU gear. But hey, good question. CJ Dial asked, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Who let the Texans special teams block out the punter? I'm not sure. I haven't reviewed it. I'm going to look at the all 22 when it comes out. Should be tomorrow. Sean Boyd, running back heavy draft, so we let go of Shady and draft one early or late due to Thompson. Neither. I think they do let Shady go. Thompson doesn't play a factor. You take a back that you like when you like him. But I don't think there's any reason to take a back before the 4th round. So I would prioritize O-line in the 4th round and back in the 4th round. Play around with that in the 5th. If you trade back earlier, you could get yourself an extra pick there too. That would be nice. Okay, last couple. We're at 52 minutes, guys. We're going to wrap it up. Championship game is about to kick off, so we'll get out of here. Roger, who's your favorite player on this team this season? My favorite? Man, that's a good question. I don't really have favorites. I don't know. I like a guy that just does his work. I'll go Derek Nottie. Stevie Keys, Hardman and Hill, too deep on kick returns. No, I don't think so. You want to have one guy that's going to block. You're not going to put them both back there. Finn, who are the Ravens? The Ravens are this team in Baltimore that I can't spell on Twitter, evidently. I am terrible, folks. For all of you that follow me on Twitter, that's Ryan Tracy NFL. I apologize for all my spelling mistakes. I'd love to tell you that they're a thing of the past, but they're not. I'm going to keep making spelling mistakes. I'm terrible at it. Maximo asked, how many sacks do you predict Frank Clark gets on Tannehill? I like this one. I'm going to say 2. I think they'll spread it around a little bit more. I think the team gets 5. Any predictions on Mahomes next game? Nah, not really. Ryan Lane asks, what's up with Darren Lee? Darren Lee is just, he hasn't worked out for a coverage linebacker. He hasn't played coverage very well, and he can't defend the run. He never has. So he just doesn't have a spot. So Aaron Peregrine, thanks for yours, man. Sent you an update on designs. Keep rocking it. I will. I have a ton of emails I'm trying to go through. I'm sorry it's been so sporadic when I get back to you guys, but I will definitely get back to you. Okay, and that's it. So we're going to wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed the championship game. I'm calling LSU, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for everything this week. It's been fun, and I'm really looking forward to this week. I'll have game film for you later in the week, probably a little bit more game film in the game plan video on Friday to get ready. So hope you guys dig it. Have a beer for me, and I'll talk to you next time.